Welcome to Tales of Yavard. We are a Mythcraft TTRPG podcast, and this is our first campaign, The Sea's Tale. I am Corey Griffin, and I will be our MC. I've been playing TTRPGs for over 20 years. I think it's 22, not 100% sure. And I've played a variety of different games, and I am very much looking forward to playing Mythcraft with everyone. With me, I have Kobe.
Hey, I'm Kobe. I've been playing tabletop RPGs for like 3 years. Not really dipping my toes in a lot of systems, but really excited to really dive into Mythcraft.
Alright, we have Joey, also known as Badger.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Joey, but you'll hear a lot of times people refer to me as Badger. That's just kind of my nickname. So if you hear somebody say Badger, they're talking to me or about me. I've been playing TTRPGs for probably 7 years now. Mostly just D&D, both 4E and 5E, and a little bit of Pathfinder. But I'm really excited to get into Mythcraft.
Alright, also we have Jesse.
Hey, I'm Jesse. I've been playing TTRPGs for probably about 18 years. Played a lot of 3.5e, ton of Pathfinder, and just a smidge of 5e. And now Mythcraft, love it. I'm super excited to play with everybody and do this podcast.
And last but not least, we have Adam.
Hi, I'm Adam. I've been playing TTRPGs for 4 years consistently, give or take. Straight 5th edition D&D up until now. I'm super excited to get into Mythcraft, and I cannot wait.
Alright, and today we're doing our session 0 for Tales of Yavard. So, the world of Yavard has 5 different continents. The Tuhol Islands, Arkith, Epith, Dryfor, and Otisha. Also, high in the sky, there are 4 floating islands that rotate around the world. There are stories that one day those islands will cause a great calamity. The Tuhul Islands are an island chain fought over by 2 different ruling groups. There are 13 different islands. 8 are ruled over by the Parco family, and the other 5 by the Tormeras group. The Parco family is a particularly savage group of pirates, or some people would see them more as mobsters. And each island that they are in control of is run by a different subfamily in the Parco family. Their names all end with some form of Arco. The Tormeras group is a group of sailors and privateers that bound together to kind of stop the Parco family from just taking over all of the Tuhul Islands. Kobe, why don't you go ahead and give a description of your character, just a little bit.
I'll be playing Lesh, who goes by Les to make things a little bit easier, is a satyr troubadour trying to tell a great story in the tale of his grandfather.
Okay. Another continent is Arkith, which is a large colonial nation, continental superpower. They are led by a group of 9 representatives, each one from one of the predominant races on the continent. To the north is very unpopulated and very inhospitable to people, and a lot of people that are in Arkith kind of tend to congregate to the midsection to southern area of Arkith. Joey, why don't you give a brief description of your character?
So my character's name is Suri Argoni. He is a very large 7'2", 350-pound big old bear of a man, literally a bear. He is an Urcal, and he is trying to figure himself out right now. He doesn't really have a direction he's going in. He's just kind of trying to figure out life and things and what family really means.
All right. So, Epoth is a smallish continent. Kind of. It's less small than I originally thought it was going to be. And it has 3 different nations on it. The resources between 2 of the nations, Caspa and Bana, are very slim, but they do make ends meet. Jesse, why don't you go ahead and tell us about your character?
So my character is a wind elemental named Zephyr. He kind of had sort of a sheltered youth, but he learned some primal magic, and then some things turned dark. But we'll cover that.
Yeah, we will definitely cover that. So another continent that we have is Dryfor. Some people believe that when the elves first came down from space, the first place that they landed were on the mountains of Dryfor. It's magical, enchanting forests, and its mountains that are so close to the sky often draw elves to them. The people of Dryfor are distrusting of outsiders, and as such refuse to let anyone into it proper, except into Greystone. All trade with Dryfor goes through Greystone. Adam, why don't you go ahead and describe your character a little bit?
Absolutely. Goron Stormclaw is also an Urcal, a bear man. He's 7 feet tall, 320 pounds. He is a big ol' soft teddy bear man. And his childhood was also fairly sheltered, very pleasant, despite a couple things that almost happened, right up until recently. A very, very tragic thing happened, and now he is looking for a specific person.
Octitia is a mostly desert continent, except on their seaside edges. It is a hard place to live. The creatures and people here have adapted to the intense heat and sun of this land. They have carved out homes in the few oases that exist. 7 different tribes dominate this land. Each one of them have control over a different city, of which different trade will happen. So a few things that we're going to get into now are, because Mythcraft is a new system. We decided that we're going to talk about some shorthand that is probably going to be used during the podcast. That way everyone stays informed. Adam, can you tell me what is AP and how do you get it?
Absolutely. AP stands for action points, and that is the primary way that characters do things in combat. Instead of having a set number of actions, or an action, a bonus action, a movement, what have you, the system uses action points. You use action points for anything from moving to attacking, to casting spells, using objects. You gain 3 action points on your turn. By default, every character gets 3, and then you add points depending on your coordination score, which will increase them up to, I believe, 4 or 5 when your coordination gets higher. If you 6, my apologies, is 6. If you have a negative coordination score, then you actually get fewer action points at the beginning of your turn. You can also hold on to some at the end of your turn, and they carry over to the start of your next turn.
All right. Kobe. Can you kind of talk a little bit about tactical advantage and tactical disadvantage? What is it?
Yeah, so tactical advantage and disadvantage are situation bonuses and penalties that you will accumulate in combat. Tactical advantage being a +1 and tactical disadvantage being a -1 penalty. These can occur indefinitely as long as you're finding new ways to accumulate them. So let's say they are on the ground, you have a +1, and then they're on ground, and then also being flanked, you have a +2. So as long as you're finding more ways to add it up in creative ways, you are going to get more. And also like narrative bonuses too. Let's say you are a teacher on the high ground and your student has corrupted and he's on the low ground, you might as well get a bonus in that as well.
A weird example. I can't think of
chosen one.
So, Joey, what are some of the defenses in Mythcraft?
Yeah, so defenses are essentially like how your character negates some incoming stuff. In other systems, you might hear them called saves, stuff like that. Right now, we have armor rating, which is based strictly on what kind of armor you're wearing, stuff like that. But then we have reflexes, which is based around dex, fortitude, which is based around your endurance, anticipation, which is based around your awareness, logic is based around intelligence,
Intellect.
and then willpower is based around, yeah, you're right, intellect. And then willpower is based around charisma. Now, what all of those mean is those stats minus armor rating are going to be 10 plus whatever your base attribute is. So for your reflexes, it's going to be 10 plus your dex. So your reflex would be, let's say you have a 2 in dex, it would be 12. If your endurance is 2, then you're going to have a fortitude of 12, etc. and etc. for the rest of them. And then base armor rating without armor, I do believe, is still a 10. But then if you're wearing armor, it goes up from there.
So, one of the biggest things of Mythcraft is definitely the plethora of ways that you can build your character. One of the components of that is the background, occupation, and profession system. Jesse, can you tell me a little bit about that?
I can. So you'll start out with your background, and I won't cover, in too much detail each of these, but there are 9 backgrounds you can pick. Background basically tells you what kind of life you came from, what maybe some training you've had, where your family might have been from, stuff like that. The 9 of them are Born Warrior, Criminal, Entrepreneur, Knave, Noble Title, Outlander, Student, True Believer, and Urchin. Now, 7 of those, they just, they give you some skills, starting wealth, stuff like that. 2 of them are a little different. Knave, it lets you pick 2 professions and start with those, the starting equipment for both of those, so it's, but you don't get to max out either one of those. You'll only get a certain number. Urchin, you start with no profession, but it gives you some extra skills and starting wealth and stuff like that the others don't. Now, the professions, there are several of those. You'll only gain ranks in those about every 6 levels that you would normally get. So you start at rank 1, several levels go by, you rank up. It basically is like, what job do you have in the world? And, over time, you increase your ability to do that job. Now, you get some skills from it, you get some other benefits from it. There's a lot of benefits to each of these professions. But you kind of have to role play with it a little bit as well. and it covers what you're doing aside from just your basic adventure.
Kobe, what is your background and profession?
Yeah, Les is a Outlander entertainer.
Joey?
Yusuri is a criminal and thug.
Jesse?
Zephyr is an outlander and a sailor.
And Adam?
Goran is an outlander nomad.
No one wanted to be a big part of society. And that's all right. Another big part of any, kind of high fantasy TTRPG is normally its magic system. And in Mythcraft, the magic system is very diverse. But some slang that is used very frequently will be SP. Adam, what is SP and how do you get it? How do you use it?
SP is spell points, so that is what you use to cast any of the spells you have access to. Unlike spell slots, I'm sure most people are familiar with. You gain SP through talents that you choose as you level up into your classes, or if you take general talents of some of the trees in the different schools of magic. You start at first level with 10, and then based on the talent you choose, you gain 5 every level from there on. And when you cast a spell, you spend the number of spell points it requires, as well as the number of action points in order to cast the spell. If you do not have enough of both, then you cannot cast it.
Okay.
Going back to the schools or sources of magic in Mythcraft, there are 6. They are arcane. 5, I'm sorry. There are 5. Arcane, divine, primal, psionic, and occult.
Kobe, can you talk about base attributes with me for a minute?
Well, yeah. So for base attributes, we have 8 of them, and you start out at 0. And so instead of like a D&D 5e where you start at 10 and you go up, these are your actual bonuses too. It's just exactly your bonus is your attribute itself. So they go up to 12. You have strength, dex, endurance, awareness, intelligence, intellect, and charisma, which are the normal attributes you would normally see in a system. But there's 2 metaphysical attributes that Mythcraft uses that are a little bit different. We use luck, which has something that affects like your critical range, and sometimes you can use luck to kind of change the fate of battle. And coordination, which you corresponds to your attributes, so the amount of action points you'll get in a turn.
Right. Jesse, we touched on it a little bit, but why don't we kind of talk a little bit about talents? What are they?
So talents is kind of how Mythcraft covers things like classes, and it's kind of a combination of what some other systems would call feats and classes. Instead of having you have this class and then you can choose these feats, it's kind of combined into one. You get your talents, but you won't get a class until your 2nd level. First level, you could either take a magic entry talent, I should say, or there's some specialization talents, which are like some defenses, or you can boost some weapons or skills, stuff like that. They're more basic, not part of a class. Then at 2nd level, you could get a class entry talent, which would be like, Berserker entry or Ranger entry, something like that. After you get those entry talents, then you can take talents from those stacks, and each level you get 1 talent point, So you pick a talent, you get that bonus. And it can either be part of the class, or it can just be something completely different. It's very open. You can do kind of just about anything you want to do, as long as you meet any prerequisites.
And that is definitely something to remember about Mythcraft. When you take a talent, as long as you meet the prerequisite for that talent, you can have it.
Also, with the talents, a lot of systems allow you to multi-class. In Mythcraft, it's not necessarily a requirement to multi-class, but you have 30 levels, and most classes have, 15 talents in each specialization of that class. So you have a lot of extra things that you can do. It doesn't have to be a second class. You could, go from the magic stack or the specializations, but you're very likely to take a second class either at later levels or take both at the same time slowly. It's very open.
Or to take multiple tracks through the same.
Yes. Yeah.
So the prologues will start at level 1, but the actual campaign will be level 2. I'm gonna start with Kobe. What was your level 1 talent, and did you take a classic talent at 2, or did you take a regular talent?
Yeah, at level 1, I took Barrel Roll. Great talent name, love it. And then at level 2, I take the entry into Trepidor.
All right. Joey, what did you end up going with level 1 and 2?
So my level 1 talent was the family heirloom. So I'll let you guys see if you can spot that at the beginning of the show before its big reveal. Hint, hint. And then at level 2, I took the Berserker entry because I'm going to be a bear Zerker for the game.
Adam, what did you go for level 1, and what did you do for level 2 as well?
So for level 1, I took Warden of the Primal for reasons that make perfect sense in the prologue. And then at level 2, I took the Oracle entry feat, specifically for the Druid track of the Oracle class.
Okay. And then, of course, Jesse, what did you take at level 1?
So I actually also took Warden of the Primal at first level, and that'll kind of be covered in the prologue as well. But second level, I didn't take a class entry. I'm just sticking to the Primal Magic stack, and I took Primal Survivalist to get a couple more spells and boost my spell points and power level.
And some skill points.
Yes, and some skill.
Y'all kind of tossed these ones to me. I think that's everything we kind of covered there. Are there any more that we wanted to talk about?
Do we want to talk about death points? I feel like that's kind of a key thing for Mythcraft.
I feel like that'll be covered when we start playing.
That's a good point.
We should let Kobe cover death points.
So, dying in Mythcraft is very different than in most other TTRPGs I've ever played. Can Kobe, for reasons that most of us know, can you kind of explain what death points are and how dying works?
Yeah, death points are very near and dear to me because I seem to love to be on them. So instead of a normal system like D5e, which is most of my knowledge comes from, where you'll go down and roll death saving throws, it's really interesting and fun because when you hit 0, you go into death points. And you have 8 unless you're a cat, because cats have 9 lives, of course. And while you are at 0, every turn you will accumulate a death point, and when you get to 8, your character will drop dead. Also, other things like being attacked, you'll gain more death points, but it gives you a chance to really go out with a bang and fight if you want to be that man who fights to the last minute to drop, or you hit 0 and you're going to run away and you got 8 turns to hide tail to your healer, which I think is a very fun way. It gives you interaction in how you die instead of just sitting on the floor and dying.
Does anyone else have?
Skill challenges. I think it's a little different with asking for the base and then saying relevant skills.
Okay.
Is
Who
important.
feels like they have a general good understanding of skill challenges?
I think I do. You're talking about making a skill check, right? Okay. So, in Mythcraft, making a skill check or participating in a skill challenge, you roll your d20, your 20-sided die, and you add your base attribute as well as a relevant skill bonus if you have the skill in addition to the base attribute.
So another big thing to add on to that, Adam, is as the MC, I will only ever ask for an attribute check.
Okay, I have to. Okay.
If so, for example, I'm going to use Les. If he's talking to someone and trying to persuade someone to do something, and I say, give me a charisma check, and he has a bonus to his, and he's putting some of his skill points into his persuading, he would ask me, would persuading apply? To which I say yes or no. Instead of me asking for a persuading check, as some people do in other systems, I give the attribute, and you guys let me know if there are any skills that you think you have that might apply.
Which definitely leaves it open, because it could be, they say ask for an awareness check, and it would be like, maybe I have investigation, somebody else has perceiving.
Right.
And they might be both relevant.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to our Session 0. We are excited for the first tale to begin next week. We hope that you enjoy listening and would love it for you to let us know. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and on TikTok. Our link tree will be in the description of this episode. So go ahead and click there and come and find us. We'd love to talk to you and hear from you.
I'm also pretty sure if you search Yavard, Y''VARD, we should be the only one that pops up.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Yeah.
I just fucking pulled that shit out of my ass.